Thank you for downloading this podcast from the British Theatre Guide. For more information about British Theatre Guide, please visit britishtheatreguide.info. Stephen Schwartz and John-Michael Tebelak's musical Godspell, based on the Gospel of St Matthew, is about to celebrate its 50th anniversary, having opened off-Broadway in May 1971 after Tebelak produced it as his master's thesis the year before. To commemorate this, Thomas Hopkins and Michael Quinn for Ginger Quiff Media, in association with Manchester's Hope Mill Theatre, renowned for its musical revivals, are to stream an online concert version of the musical in August 2020, with a cast headed by West End stars Ruthie Henshall, Darren Day, Sam Tutty, Rhea Jones and Jenna Russell. Also starring is Jodie Steele, who was touring as Katherine Howard in the hit musical Six until the coronavirus pandemic caused the theatres to close. I spoke to Jody a month before the concert, as she was taking a break between teaching online musical theatre classes, and I asked her how she became involved with the project.
Well, my friend Michael Quinn, who I worked with on my first ever job in Rent. Who was he in Rent? Collins! He was Collins! Beautiful Collins. And I was Mimi in Rent at the Tabard in London. It was like my first professional job after graduating. And the cast of that show was so special, and I am friends with every single one of them still now. Like, they're a big part of my life, all of them. They're all scattered all over the country, but I love them all dearly. Michael, we've been friends for years, and he is the producer, Michael Quinn. I think he must have set up Quiff Media, who is the promotion team, or the producers. I'm terrible with all the technical terms. But yeah, so he basically messaged me and he was like, listen, I'm doing a concert of Godspell. I want you to be in it. I was like, cool, great. And I immediately assumed that I would be doing one of the kind of, I don't know, riffy, big, belty numbers. Yeah. And bring it on. Like, that's kind of my niche. And he said, I want you to sing Beautiful City. And I was like, what? What do you mean? He's like, yeah, but there isn't specific characters in this. There's no like follow through the story characters. It's a celebration of the story and the music using different artists rather than putting on the show online. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, wow, like, of course, I love that song. It's my favorite song on the album. Yeah, absolutely. So he was like, great. He was like, I couldn't think of a better person to do it. He was like, I love your tone with that kind of style. And it's very rare for me to kind of get to sing in my more, I don't want to say legit, but more pure sound, I guess. Yeah. So anyway, so it was Michael Quinn who messaged me and asked me, and then he gave me a few examples, chucked a few names at me, and I was like, my God, like, are you sure you want me? Like, so I was thrilled. I was so grateful and very honoured, and to hear the creative team behind it. I've always wanted to work with Michael Strassen and of course Stephen Schwartz. And apparently they told him like I was doing it. He was like, yeah, I love her voice, she's great. And I was like, how does he know who I am? I mean, I have done Wicked, but how many people have? Like, so I'm surprised he knew, but apparently he does. The world of social media, right? But yeah, so that's how, really. It's I guess people you know and contacts, and yeah, so I'm thrilled.
So did you know Godspell quite well before this?
Funny story. I don't know if I'm allowed. That's right, I'm going to say it. There was a production of Godspell that went out in 2014, I think it was, winter of 2014. And I auditioned and I went in, and again, I sung all the big kind of gospel numbers. And then they said, can you just go outside and learn day by day? I was like, sure. Great. And I didn't know Godspell well at this time. So I had half an hour to learn the song and go back in the room. And then I got cast in that track. So I got a job offer. But I also got Jesus Christ Superstar at the same time, which was one of my dream shows. So I actually ended up not doing Godspell and doing Jesus Christ Superstar. But actually, that Godspell didn't last for as long as it should. So it turned out that my judgment was on the better side of the fence that day. But it has been a show that I've always been like, God, 2 buses at once. Why does that always happen? And then you get none for like years. So it was that one show that kind of slipped through the net, and I've always been very determined to do it. And you know what? I'm just praying to the high heavens that this Godspell, this cast, just happened to do it.
Yes.
For a short run. when this is all over, when the pandemic has gone away.
Yeah, because like you say, it's a pretty prestigious cast. You've got Ruthie Henshall and Darren Day.
Yeah.
But you don't actually meet them, do you?
Yeah, I was on a Zoom with Darren Day the other day. All right, Jody, I was like, oh, just love you. And yeah, so that's what happened. So I do know Godspell because of that. And after that whole thing happened, I listened to the album quite regularly, actually. The music in it is just stunning. Like, it is, you could listen to it in the car. It's one of those musical theatre albums that actually every song could be taken out of context and you could just listen to. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And so it's amazing.
And there are all songs that have sort of a 60s pop feel to them, but they're a bit more complex than that. What do they like to sing? Are they difficult to sing?
Well, vocally wise, no, probably they sit quite well in my voice. The thing is with Stephen Schwartz, his harmony work is insane.
Yeah.
He writes so well for women, which is often a thing in musical theatre that can be difficult. Often I find that songs are written so well for boys, but for girls it's like, Jesus, 1 minute I'm down here, next minute I'm there. Because, you know, as history has it, the majority of musicals are written by men.
Yeah.
But Schwartz is like a genius and must, I don't know, just know how a woman sings. So I often find singing his material is it's not easy. You know, nothing that's a huge song is easy, but just sits well in my voice. But some of the harmonies are quite complex. But to be honest with you, I won't lie. Like I'm not doing much. I'm not doing any of the ensemble stuff. I literally just have one song and one harmony line, which is just easy to record at the end. So there's an incredible ensemble that have learned all that material. So probably they've had a lot more, you know, way harder job than any of us frontliners, which is always the way, really, isn't it? But yeah, so they've had the real feat in this project. But his harmonies are intricate, and I find with Schwartz that you can often listen to the orchestration without any lyrics or singing, and the story is still told.
Yeah.
So I find that with Godspell as well. So yeah, not particularly like very, very hard to sing. You know, something like Sondheim when it's like that can be sometimes like you really have to just learn it, like get it in your brain and body. This kind of flows off the tongue and naturally goes where you want it to go. I think the melodies in Godspell for sure.
Has Stephen Schwartz been involved with this project? Have you actually spoken to him about it?
I mean, I have not personally spoken to him. I'm just waiting for that day to have a Zoom call with Stephen. But he's been very heavily involved with the creative team and the producers, which is incredible. He's guided them. He's, instructed certain things that he'd like to be done in a certain way, which I think is so amazing because that's not always the case with writers. And he's been so involved. I don't know how much I can give away, but he might appear at some point in it. Who knows?
Right, okay. Well, I know he has, because this is a project with Hope Mill Theatre, which is up in my neck of the woods, up in Manchester. That's where I'm based. And he has been involved with them before, and he did an audience for them last year, I think it was. So I know he does get involved with productions in this country, which is probably where he's come across you before.
Maybe. And also another funny story with that is, you know how I said that me and Michael Quinn met in Rent? Yeah. That's also where I know Will and Joe, who run the Hope Mill Theatre. Will was my angel when I played Mimi in Rent. So,
was he?
Yeah.
Right.
We've got a connection going on there.
Right. Well, you've probably seen more of them on stage than I have, because I know them as producers, and well, they run the bar, take the tickets and everything. But they don't actually perform at the Hope Mill. They just run the place brilliantly.
I know, obviously. And they're so talented. And, you know, now they're running this, Hope Mill has just blown up. Like, I'm so proud of them. They did that all by themselves. Like, incredible. And it will survive this. You know, it's places like that around the country that were always going to be in more trouble than, the bigger ones. But thankfully, Hope Mill will still be there. And thank God, like, what a shame if we'd lost it from the pandemic. And, the boys were very open about the predicament that they were in. It's just a really hard time for particularly small regional theatres. But, there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
There is, yes. Things are starting to open again. But this is all being done in lockdown. You're all in your own houses. So how does it actually work technically? How have you actually recorded it?
So luckily I have quite a lot of self-tape equipment. So I've got lights and I've got a mic and GarageBand. So, I mean, I'm terrible at all the technical stuff, but I can work my way through GarageBand and record myself. So yeah, I just recorded my vocals for them, so they were very clean, and then kind of sang over myself for the visual, and obviously that will be put together. Not everyone will do that, but I just had the privilege of having a mic. Well, I bought myself a mic basically, lockdown, and so yeah, and I think quite a few people have done that, and obviously you can't, unless they wanted me just with my mic, which they didn't. The shot for me is very pure, exposed, raw, and Strassen blew my mind in one session when, he was like, don't make the audience feel something by you doing it. You just be, and they'll feel what they're supposed to. And I was like, of course, yes, you're a genius. So my staging is nothing. It's pure. He wanted the song to be at the forefront of it and me to just deliver it. And actually, I don't know again how much I'm allowed to say, but my song is now a duet with, I probably can say actually, with Darren Day. And so we'll see how that, I can't wait to kind of see what they do with it in the editing. But yes, I probably had quite an easy job actually. I just have to stand and thing.
So did you have to find a plain background? Did you have to find a particular space in the house?
As you can see, I'm a bit of a new, minimalist person. All my walls are just plain white and I don't like pictures. So I was all right. And white is definitely the colour theme in my particular shots. So that was quite easy. But yeah, I had it all set up with my lights and my camera just on the old, iPhone, which is basically now like a better camera than any of us have ever had in our lives. And so it was pretty straightforward. And I've been lucky that I've been involved in a fair few projects. So by the time I got to Godspell, I was almost experienced in how to kind of do it at home.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's been interesting having the rehearsals online, and the fact that, the amount of care and detail that has gone into it and guidance for someone like me who had to record a song and stand in a camera and sing it. But there's so much more to that, and the creative team wanted it to be more than that and wanted to nurture the cast behind it and really create something special. And Michael Strassen's vision is so particular, and he was telling me all these images that he's, will come in and out. And I was like, wow, so cool. So they haven't just been like, okay, everyone go away and record your songs and send them back. We've been nurtured. We've been directed very, very, very well.
It's very different to being on stage though, because I suppose you've got to keep it in mind that this is a performance that's coming into people's houses or on their mobile device or whatever. You're not built into the back of a theatre. Is it a completely different feel to it? Totally different feel. I live for being creative with other people, and I miss that terribly. Although this has been a great experience, and I'm always one for finding the positive in things. So instead of, this lockdown, I'm like, right, what can I do in this time? We have to adapt. And, it's great when you can read the comments that people have enjoyed it. But yeah, I do, of course, I miss the atmosphere and the nerves and the, being in the wing, about to wee yourself because you're so nervous. I miss that. But it's odd because I've done a fair few concerts, like live streamed concerts. I get so nervous for those. And yet I can't see a single face. I'm just in my lounge. But you kind of imagine what people are thinking and everything. And it is the oddest thing, especially when your whole career has been live in front of people. Unless you do TV, I've done a little bit of TV, and I guess it's a bit like that, really. You don't know what people will think of your performance until they've watched it later on. Yeah. But is it, what's the final result going to be like? Is this like a film where you won't actually know until it goes out, until it's actually put together?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll ask for a sneak preview. But I think I myself, because obviously this is for a great cause as well, I'm going to buy a ticket and watch it along with everybody else. Because I can't wait to see everybody else's performances. So.
Are you going to dress for the premiere?
Yeah, I'm going to put on a ball gown. I'm going to decorate the lounge with a red carpet rolling up to the TV. Yeah. No. I'll probably watch it in my PJs.
Like everybody else, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody knows. It's fantastic.
So when lockdown started, you were in the middle of a run with 6, weren't you? So how did that actually come about? How did you find out about it? Was it really sudden?
Well, I actually had coronavirus, and
and
I was off the show. I missed 3 days. I got symptoms on the Wednesday. I was luckily commuting from home anyway. We were in Wolverhampton. I was just commuting it. No, that's a lie. I had come home because I had the day off. So in 6, we have alternates and we get scheduled shows off every now and then to help us, because it's a heck of a mountain to climb every night. It's high energy for 75 minutes. And it's like really 75 minutes. Honestly, it's one of the most challenging physical shows I've ever done. The exhaustion is real, but it's great. It's amazing. And I'd come home because I had the next day off. And the Wednesday night I came off the show and I was really struggling to breathe. I was coughing. I wasn't in a good way. And I had a temperature. So I came home and I was just hoping that I could sleep it off. And I was one of those people who was like, oh, this pandemic thing, it will blow over. Like, no one will really get it. And I came home for an audition. I came home because I had the day off and I had an audition, and I woke up and I had to ring my agent. I was like, I'm really not in a good way. I could barely talk. I kept coughing, and she was like, my God. She's like, I need to ring your company manager. So they had a talk and they decided that I had to stay at home for the health, because we didn't know at that point. I hadn't had a test. But yeah, of course, I didn't want to put my cast in danger. And then I did. I had coronavirus. I had a test, and my symptoms got worse, and I lost my appetite, and I lost my sense of taste and smell. So I was keeping my fingers crossed and everything crossed that the show was not going to close, because my heart was already breaking at the idea that I had already missed my last show because of this illness, this whatever we're calling it, whatever it is, virus. It's a virus, isn't it? So I was praying, and I remember the Monday watching Boris's speech, just with like everything crossed and my head in my hands, just listening to what he was saying. And then when he said, I advise people not to go to the theatre, I was like, that's it. Within 10 minutes, all the shows were closed. My company manager put a message on our group saying, that's it. And I was devastated. I was like, no. I was praying that I knew that was coming, but I was praying that it would come in a couple of weeks when I could at least return to work. Because at that point, the rule was just stay at home for a week and go back. I mean, I would have stayed off for 2 because it was clear that I had it. But I was praying that I would have been able to go back safely and well again to at least have just done one show before it got pulled. But no.
Yeah. So, and then everything closed, and since then, you've still been keeping quite busy. You've, like you said before, you've been doing some of these online concerts and things, but you've got your own school teaching musical theatre, and that's kept going somehow. How have you managed to keep that going?
Yeah, so JSA, Jodie Steele Associates, I started it in November with my business partner, Carl Strickland, and we were like, let's go online. And now we have like 350 associates. We have an elite program that's starting. We're just waiting for the green flag to be able to hold our audition day for that. We've held a national competition, singing competition online, which we had over 500 entries for. We've been announcing the winner. In fact, the winner of that is announced tonight at 6 p.m. on our Instagram. We hold workshops every Sunday. I teach one-to-ones throughout the week. I have guest teachers come in on Thursdays to do great big masterclasses. It has been crazy. And on top of all of that, I also started working as a carer for people with learning disabilities. So when I say I have not had a day off since lockdown started, I genuinely mean that. Like, who knew you could be so busy at home? So yeah, I just wanted to help. Physically help in the pandemic, and I live in Leighton Buzzard, and there was no opportunity to volunteer for the NHS unless I travelled a long way, and that that was beside the point, because then I was travelling and I wasn't supposed to be doing that. So I applied for loads of caring companies, and yeah, I got a job, and I look after 2 ladies. One has Down syndrome and one has autism, and it's changed my life. And I'm not saying that I will become a full-time carer. I'm far too passionate performer and creator, and obviously I have GSA, but I'm splitting myself in many ways to get it all done. So yeah, it's been a heck of a year.
Well, yeah, for everybody probably, but you found some different outlets for things. I mean, it's interesting. You said before about the ensemble in Godspell. You say how they're the unsung people who probably have the hardest job, but you've been there yourself. You've been ensemble, and many times you've been understudy. You played some big roles in musicals, but you've also been understudy on the West End. So most people don't really understand what that's like. I mean, basically, you have to put in all the work, but you don't get any of the applause most of the time, do you? So what's it like being an understudy on the West End?
Well, listen, I've been first cover, covered more than one part, standby, alternate, swing, ensemble. I always have the most fun when I'm just ensemble. I say just ensemble, hate that term. I always have the most fun and the most funny stories to tell when I do contracts, when I'm in the ensemble. It is a bit like, I don't know, because you do get praise, and when you do get your shows, often people flock to see the understudy because they've all seen the lead. But yes, a lot of work, because not only are you doing your ensemble track, you might, at the drop of a hat, suddenly be on for your cover. And the unsung hero, I guess, isn't it, really? Like, you just step up and do what you need to do. But the energy and the achievement that you feel when you do it is the best reward anyway. So you don't need anyone to kind of clap you, but they do, and they do talk about it. And when there are great understudies on the West End, in the tour, and internationally, and anywhere, it is spoken of, and they are appreciated beyond belief. And there's always a funny saying that your first cover will always be more multi-talented than you, because, and it's not true. It's just a rumor, but it does happen sometimes. But it's just a funny rumor that the reason the first cover is because they're a great dancer and they can sing it and they're reliable, whereas the lead can just sing it. But it's not true. It just happens that sometimes, yes, a first cover will have to be a great dancer and be able to deliver that leading role. So yeah, it can be stressful, particularly in rehearsals, because your mind has to be split into various rooms, the principal room and the ensemble room, and you got to do extra hours. But I think, if you love it and you really do, live for this industry and breathe it and it's in your veins, then that extra work and that extra challenge is a little bit of a driving force for you, and kind of gives you that impetus to just be like, yeah, this is great. And that idea of never knowing when you're going to get on, like, that just kind of keeps it alive, and you never know what your week will have in store. So it's kind of cool. Yeah. But yeah, and then of course you've got standby, where you don't even have your own track in the show. You're literally just there to stand by for somebody else. And that's an odd thing. I guess you almost feel like you don't own your own track. Even the swings have their own track, their swing track. But a standby really is there to stand by for somebody
whatever.
Yeah. I was lucky when I've done a standby contract, and I got on so much and ended up taking over the role in the end. So I was lucky with my experience of it. But it did strengthen me. I got thrown on a fair amount halfway through a show, and that beefed me up. Put it that way.
Yeah, it's all a learning experience, isn't it? All toughened you up.
Yeah, sure.
Everything's still very uncertain at the moment, although some productions are starting to open with much reduced audiences. But have you got any tentative plans for what you're going to be doing in the future?
Well, yeah, so I am going back onto 6 for the time that I've missed, when my whole cast is. So we will be returning together. But in the immediate future, I have an abundance of projects coming up of me singing and being filmed, basically. And a couple of live things. Yeah, literally. I'm thinking, as I'm saying it to you, I'm thinking, how am I going to fit this all in? But yes, lots of things happening throughout August and September. So I'm very lucky, but I work very hard and I'm quite reliable, and, you know, I never want to let somebody down. So when I'm asked to do something, I will go above and beyond to deliver what they need. So yeah, but I will be going back into 6. But until then, many drive-in experiences and live streamed concerts and filmed concerts, and yeah.
Whatever comes up, whatever you feel like you can contribute to.
Yeah.
For anybody who somehow over the last 50 years has managed to miss Godspell, what do you think would sell it to them? Why should they watch this version?
You know, if you love musical theatre or just love good music, and you have found this pandemic tough and you need to believe that it will be okay and that art will come through for us all, and we will be creative in a room again, and you will watch live performances again, sit down with a cup of tea or a gin and watch this Godspell, this version. This show is also the 50th anniversary of this show. And when shows are celebrating anniversaries like that, when they are still known and loved and being, you know, put on 50 years later, you know, it's a special show. Not all shows celebrate anniversaries like that. Some shows get forgotten. This has not. So find out for yourself why.
Right. Just take it day by day.
Day by day.
That was Jodie Steele, who appears in the 50th anniversary online concert of Godspell, available from the 27th to the 29th of August 2020, with a book by the late John-Michael Tebelak and music and lyrics by Stephen Schwartz. The performance is a charity event in aid of Hope Mill Theatre, National AIDS Trust and Acting for Others, with tickets at £15 available from www.hopemilltheatre.co.uk. You've been listening to a podcast from British Theatre Guide. For more information, please visit britishtheatreguide.info.